Hello everyone, Carmine from New York here. What will we discuss today on this August 16, 2022 evening? Well, yesterday's episode where I discussed this birthday boy, the Nikon D3, I got several emails that said you have got to explain the lens that's on the camera. No one recognized this all plastic barrel lens that I had on the camera in yesterday's video about the Nikon D3. So let's get into it. How's everybody doing? It's a nice day out. I hope everybody's out taking pictures. All right, and right now you're watching this while you're editing your photographs. Okay, this is the AF Micro Nikkor 55mm f2.8 lens. This lens is around 1986. It's a vintage lens, I would say. However, this is one of Nikon's most rare lenses. Okay, now why do I say this is one of Nikon's most rare lenses? Well, they only made about 40,000 of these macro / micro lenses. It's autofocus. It has manual and autofocus settings. Okay, the front element is so deep inside the barrel, a good almost 3 inches from the outer filter ring to the front element. It looks like it's about 3 inches in there, so you really don't need a sunshade. But you know, I am pro lens shade, so I picked up this metal lens hood for it, and of course I picked up a Hoya UV filter for it. Actually, is this a Hoya? Nope, K&F Concept. Highly recommended UV protection filter. All right, so a little bit about this lens that nobody really recognized yesterday from the D3 video. Here's a few facts. They were only made from 86 to 89, limited run, very rare. Now 40,000 doesn't sound like a lot, but Nikon explains it this way. In the whole world, there's about 10,000 cities. So that only gives about that only gives about 4 of these lenses per city around the world. Now, if you consider, since these were made around 86, 87, 88, 89, right? The lenses that were broken, the lenses that dropped to the bottom of the sea, right? People lose their cameras all the time into lakes and streams and rivers and oceans. If you take into account the ones that are for parts only, the ones that have severe haze, fungus, scratches, cracks, bad autofocus gears. If you take all of that into consideration, let's just say there's about 20,000 of these left in the world in fully operational condition. Now, that still sounds like a lot, right? But if you consider that in October 2018, Nikon, you go to Nikon.com and you'll see this fun fact. On October, I don't know what date, so we'll say October 1st, 2018, Nikon made its 110 millionth Nikkor lens. They made 110 million Nikkor lenses in total. So this beautiful beast, this beautiful autofocus lens is just incredible. Now, of course, you're going to see some images that I took with this just now. How did I take these photographs? Well, the photographs you're about to see had a very simple setup. I used natural lighting. I waited until the sun was setting around 5 p.m. New York time. That's not real golden hour, but it was enough golden hour where it wasn't so washed out, the direct sunlight. So I didn't use any flash, I didn't use any fill light, I didn't use any LED. I just used 100% natural lighting. My setup was very simple. Now you're going to see photographs of the setup right now, but I just want to show you, excuse me. I just want to show you what I use almost exclusively for my macro shots. I buy these acrylic sheets of black acrylic, right? These are 12 inches by 12 inches square, right? These are 12 by 12 inch square, plastic. They're all plastic, right? All plastic, right? And I use them like this. I put one flat, and I put the second one as a background like this, and I shoot. Don't forget, you're shooting macro. You only need the center 5 inches of this, but what a beautiful black glossy background. Okay, so put this on the side. So now that's the background and the foreground and the base, okay, are those black acrylic sheets. Where do I get them? Get them anywhere. Get them on eBay or look on Amazon. 12 by 12 black acrylic tiles or squares. You only need 2, and they should cost you no more than $5 each. You could, some people call them black PVC, some people call them black plexiglass. You'll find it. Okay, so I made an L with the black plexiglass. Next step, I took, as you know, I find fruits and vegetables, since they're handy, right? They're in the house, they're handy to photograph those. So when you're photographing fruits and vegetables, right, flowers, any kind of vegetation, this is a professional secret right here. This is just a spray bottle of water. That's all it is. When you buy these little spray bottles for around 50 cents, make sure that the spray, the mist that comes out of it, is ultra fine mist. You don't want a stream, right? You want an ultra fine mist. I'm not going to spray this now because I have my camera equipment out. Okay? Secret weapon. Now, side note. Some of my viewers, I've showed this before in macro shots, say, hey, you know, you really should be using glycerin because it'll stick to whatever you're shooting at. Oh, really? Well, I've been a photographer for 50 years. And, of course, that's what you're taught in generic photo class, is to use glycerin. That's what gives the sweaty glass of beer, the sweaty martini glass, the sweaty mug of beer, beer bottle, etc. Okay? That's great. But what they don't tell you about using spray glycerin is the mess. It's grease. It's everywhere. It's on your background, foreground, and if you want to change up and do something else, prepare for at least 15-minute cleanup time. Use water. Yes, water's thin. It'll run a little bit, but so is morning dew is water, and that's what you want to replicate. You want to replicate morning dew when you use water on your fruit, vegetables, bugs, flowers, whatever. And it fits right into your pocket. You take it with you, whether you're going in the field or whether you're going in your studio or whether you're going in your backyard. Okay? So, let's move on. I have about, I don't know, say 4 or 5 photographs I want to show you that I just took. I shot the photographs on this Nikon D3. All right, what were my settings? I shot aperture priority, f16, ISO was on auto with a max of 3200. Because the light was very strong, I didn't have to pick an ISO. The camera did, to get perfect exposures. Now, post-processing was absolutely minimal. I basically used post-processing to make the aspect ratio 16:9, so it'll fill your frame on your computer, TV, or your smartphone, right? I like the way that looks. It fills your whole frame, right? Instead of the usual 4:3, 3:4 aspect ratio. Don't forget, this camera's full frame, 35mm full frame. So you get a very nice, big, RAW or JPEG to work with. All right? So f16, aperture priority, ISO auto, right? Which range the shutter speeds. Now, I should mention, if I'm shooting macro and I'm shooting aperture priority, and my shutter speed that the camera picks drops below 250th of a second, that's not good. So I'll crank up, I'll go off auto ISO, and I'll go all the way up. I'll go with this camera, sky's the limit. You can go to 5,000, 6,000, doesn't matter. But you want your shutter speed. If you're going handheld, which I do, I shoot macro handheld 99% of the time. Okay? You want a nice high 1/250th of a second or higher. Okay? For nice handheld macro shots. So, one more thing. A resource. Eyes of Nikon. This book that you can get right now, go onto eBay, just put in the title, I'll go into books, put in Eyes of Nikon. It's a paperback, printed in Japan in the 80s. And what is it? It's a resource guide to every Nikkor lens in production at the time of this publication. And gee, what do you think they have in here? The micro Nikkor 55 2.8 lens. It gives the full breakdown. It gives you things that are not on the internet. For example, the X-ray of the lens elements. So you really do get a full understanding of the lens. Okay? This one happens to be a little bit older, right? This lens happens to be a little bit older. It's not exactly the AF lens that I shot with, but it is the same lens elements and breakdown. Okay? And that's from the book Eyes of Nikon. What a great book. So cheap. You could also look on Amazon books, used books. Every single lens that was in production back then. Right? Every one. It's just gorgeous. Just gorgeous. What a great reference guide. And it should cost you no more than $4. Okay. Now, we've gone about 13 minutes. I think that's good. I told you about how rare it is. I told you my setup, right? Oh, fun fact, when I was shooting today, I went outside. And my dogs, I have two dogs, they're both Yorkies. Since they were puppies, since we got them, they were about 3 months old, they were given ultimate diet from my wife. She cooked their food from scratch, carrots and a protein and whatever. She cooked every day for them for their first year. So now that they're on a well-balanced food, I'm not going to get into an advertisement for what prepackaged food they use. This is what this is about. So now she supplements their prepackaged food, right, their commercial dog food, recommended by the vet, with fresh fruit, strawberries and blueberries, watermelon, and vegetables, right? Carrots, green beans, etc. So, what does that have to do with this photo shoot, you'll see a photograph of how I had all my fruits and vegetables, and the dogs thought it was snack time. So if you have dogs and they are allowed to eat fruits and vegetables, be careful, because you might lose your props to hungry Yorkies. All right, that's a little side note. Let's look at the photographs I took today, outside, no artificial light, sun only, with the Nikon D3 and the autofocus Nikkor 55mm f2.8 from Nikon. Incredible combination of the D3 and this lens. Oh, I should say, how much is this lens? This lens today, they're about $162. $162. Now, this lens requires that your camera have autofocus motor. Come on, right? It requires that whatever camera you pick, it has this pin. It looks like a screwdriver, okay? That turns the autofocus in the lens, okay? It must have the, where is it? Right here. It must have the autofocus pin. If your camera does not have that type of autofocus motor to drive this lens, it's okay. You can still use it in manual focus. I showed you the focus ring is up here. Listen to that beautiful sound. Okay, look at the extension when you're all the way up. This gets, by the way, within a ½ an inch of your subject. Okay, full aperturing on the bottom. Okay, so you can use this on your manual cameras. You can use this on your modern cameras that do not have a built-in screw drive motor built into the body. You just have to focus by hand, and it's okay. Now, you guys might be wondering, what is this A, line, and dot for? Okay, when it's on A, the focusing is pretty fluid. When you have it on the dot, right, you grab this, it's pretty hard to do, you pull down and you turn it. Now it's on the dot. When it's on the dot, it gives more friction to the manual focus ring. That is to prevent any kind of creep, because a lot of times you're focusing down into a flower, into an insect, right? This is ultra creep prevention, so your lens does not creep. You can feel it. It's about twice as, it has twice as much friction when it's on the dot. Okay? Friction creep control. Let me put it back to automatic. Down and turn. Okay, now it's on the A, and it's nice and fluid, and it makes your autofocus motor not work as hard because it's nice and fluid. Okay, let's mount the lens back onto the D3. Okay. Done. Let's look at the photographs I took today using this macro micro lens from Nikon and the D3 also from Nikon. Let's look at those photographs right now. Subscribe, thumbs up, email me, everything's in the description below. blackandwhitephoto@aol.com. Have a great day. See you on the next episode.